Good morning, 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 Nerd Nation, and welcome to another episode of the AFTA Effect podcast show, where we master the art of acknowledgement, forgiveness, trust, and acceptance so that you can become the beholder of your own beauty. In just a few moments, you are going to be on the couch with SJ and Yaz, and I'm your girl, SJ. Yaz is over in the studio, but in the meantime and in between time, I want you to fill your cup with whatever makes you happy this morning. Get your pen, get your paper, and get ready to be transformed. Let's start the day off with self-love, shall we? See you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. We are at episode 200. We got through episode 1. We got through week 1 of the brand new podcast, the After Effect podcast show on the couch with SJ and Yaz. And I'm your host, SJ. Now today, for episode 2, we're going to dive into the very first pillar of the After Effect, which is acknowledgement. But first, I want to give my lovely co-host a chance to say hello to everybody before we just delve in. What's up, Chick?
Hey, this is your girl, Yaz. Good to be back. How's everybody doing?
Hey, I hope they doing good. Now, listen, if you did not listen to episode 1, I think you need to go on back and do that. I highly recommend that you go back and you check it out because we introduced ourselves to you. We gave you a backstory, and then we introduced, more importantly, the AFTA principles, which is acknowledgement, forgiveness, trust, and acceptance. And we share why, foundationally, they are essential for us living a full life full of self-love and empowerment. So today, what did you think about last week's episode? What did you do? Were you able to reflect on anything?
Oh yeah. Reflecting on last week's episode, it ironically brought back a lot from my week 1. To the point of I probably ain't gonna like you for about 2 more days.
For about 2 more days, you know what? It don't even matter no more. I don't even care because you know what? This I tell my clients all the time. I ain't here for you to like me. I'm here for you to love you. I could deal with all the smoke. Okay, as long as when it clears, as long as when all that smoke clears, you love you a little bit better, baby. Then my job is done. Okay, that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah. So let's a lot more.
Yeah. So let's talk about today. So today we are focusing on the first principle, which is acknowledgement. And it's all about recognizing and embracing your true self, your flaws, your strengths, your beauty, and everything in between. It's the foundation of your self-love journey because you can't move forward until you fully see and accept where you are. Hey, look, any changes you want to make, you could tell me all day long that you want to change, you want to do things differently. But if you can't even acknowledge what the issues are, then how do you change?
Okay, so it's hard for some people to acknowledge that there are things they need to work on. Like it is hard. And it sometimes in taking that acknowledgement, like I say, it puts you in a situation where you notice things about yourself that you didn't know about yourself that were contributing to your lack of self-love.
Say that again for the people in the back. Can you say it again?
You really will notice things about yourself that made yourself not love yourself. You made you not love you because you didn't acknowledge what was going on.
It's
Some
some
of us
things you
have a
still
way.
holding on to, some stuff you
Yeah,
still
some of us
holding
have a
on
way
to.
of, we don't even put it on the back burner. We put that thing back there in the back of the closet under some covers, beneath the pillows, and under some papers. So we really ain't even trying to process it. We just
Never.
know it's some bullshit that happened, and I don't want to deal with it. So if I don't deal with it, I can't be, you know what I'm saying? You
If
got to
I
put it
don't
right here.
see it, I don't got to deal with it.
You got to put, like, I'm gonna show you how you got to do it. You got to put it right here. You got to put it right there in front of you. Because when it's right there in front of you, you got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta deal with it. I can't listen to him. Just like, okay, I do hair. Hi, I'm a loctician. I do hair. I can't do hair through the phone.
How about that? You can't do hair through YouTube, bitch.
Cannot. I can't. You could send me a video all day. You still got to come sit in my chair. And then I'm faced with what I got to do.
Faced with the issue.
Same principle goes with past traumas, current traumas, past relationships, whether man, woman, friend, family, whatever your choice is. You can't deal with it if you don't put it right in front of you to deal. Some things are hurdles. Now, when you jump them hurdles, you don't turn around and go back and jump over it the other way. You got to keep going forward.
Don't nobody run no race like that.
That ain't how you gonna win the race. You got to jump that hurdle.
Some of y'all jump over the hurdle, then y'all go back and you go pick up the hurdle, and then you carry the hurdle with you while you running.
You losing. That's not how this works. You gotta jump the hurdle. First, you gotta face it. You gotta run up to it like, hey, I got this. You ain't stopping me. I'm gonna jump this hurdle, and then I'm gonna keep going. I might not win first place, but the key is not to be first place. The key is to finish the race.
Now here, I'm gonna have to go find a meme where somebody to try to jump over a hurdle, they done fail. Because that's what happened to a lot of us.
It's a bunch of them out there. It's a bunch of them.
Let's talk about it. So we're going to explore some self-reflection and self-discovery, which is exactly what Yaz is talking about. We're going to learn how to celebrate your unique strengths and talk about how to overcome self-criticism. So go ahead, grab your tea, grab your coffee, or whatever makes you feel cozy, honey, and we're going to dive into this thing together. Now, if that's not alcoholic, then you could describe it, because, we got people that's listening that maybe, we can't glorify it too much. Well, I mean, that's me. Wait a minute. You know what? That's me. I'm sorry. In acknowledgement, that's me. I can't glorify it. You can do what you want. I work with people that's in recovery, from alcohol, drugs, and all of that stuff. And so I just choose to not even, yes, ma'am.
So now that you brought that up, because I had been wondering for a while.
Okay.
About that. Okay. So because you do work with people who are in recovery, does that mean you can't sip every now and then, or you just don't let them know?
I'm not in recovery. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm very transparent with the people that I work with, because I think that honesty is absolutely the best policy. When you're dealing with yourself, honesty is the best policy. So when I'm dealing with other people, honesty is the best policy. And I happen to be in a field that took me in that direction. I felt like the best thing to do was to be upfront about that. It does make me look at my decisions. Oh, it's definitely a learning phase for me too. But if I go out, get a glass of wine or whatever, an edible, whatever it is that I do, it's on a social level. And so I work with people. Right. And so I'm honest about that. People that can learn from me, learn from me. The people that can't. I don't offer up any excuses about that. I don't glorify it. I don't, because they respect my opinion. They respect where I'm coming from when I'm speaking. They respected the fact that I was just honest with them, about what I do. Somebody who is acknowledging that they're an addict or acknowledging that they're an alcoholic or whatever, they have to deal with the fact that they can't just drink socially anymore. But that doesn't mean that other people around them aren't going to still drink socially. Recognizing and identifying your triggers isn't supposed to be a control mechanism for other people. Other people are not going to jump through hoops so that you are not triggered. It's about you processing that. If if any type of a relapse or something happens, which, we're absolutely not advocating for, but if it does, I'm able to lend some understanding because, honey, we talked about it in episode 1 last week. Life be lifing.
Hard.
Life be lifing, yo. So an addict is a person who has lost the ability to drink or do whatever, anything recreationally. They just don't have that control anymore because the addiction has taken over. It means that they are physically, in need of this substance. And so I just choose not to glorify that. And that makes the after effects so much more important. And so I put them through this, our self-reflection. So that gets us right on into, the power of self-reflection. So here's the thing. Have you ever truly stopped? And I'm asking the studio audience, because see, I didn't ask you before, but I'm going to ask you too. When's the last time you ever just truly stopped and asked yourself, who am I? What do I really want? Not just as a fleeting thought, but as a burning question that you really sat and thought about. When's the last time you did that? Yes. Just who am I? What do I really want?
Ironically, it literally, today's Sunday. Subtract 3 days, you get Wednesday. So Tuesday.
You said subtract 3 days and you get Wednesday.
So literally Tuesday. I'm an overthinker.
Join the club, girl.
Right. I'm an overthinker. I'm also, and I fully believe that me being a Libra plays a lot into that too. But I overthink a lot of stuff. So Tuesday, I found myself going down the rabbit hole. I found myself, and I literally just sat at my desk and I was like, who am I? What? Now that I'm in a position that I should be living my best life, I ain't going back and forth with these. I should really be living my best life. I literally am like, who am I? I don't have to rush home because my kids are grown.
You an empty nester. You're an empty nester. But your whole life up to this point has been about the kids and everybody else being straight. But now ain't no other distractions nowhere. And it's just you.
I'm being forced to focus on Yasmina. And listen, that is some scary, for me, that is some scary stuff, because at times I don't know who I am.
Girl,
I don't. I've
That's
always
the biggest acknowledgement of all. It's nothing wrong. Nerd, did you hear her? I guarantee you that it's somebody in this audience. Yeah, they don't know who the fuck they is. We don't. Oh, no. Situations will show you to yourself. It's some situations that you can get into. You ain't never thought you was gonna be in no BS like this. How do I even show up for this?
Yes. And crazy part, my son graduated May 24th. Now, I've been taught, I ain't crying. I ain't no punk. My baby graduating. I'm at graduation, but I'm boohoo crying. I'm not crying because he made it. I am literally sitting there at this big ass auditorium crying because now what do I do?
Whole life been about the kids and your last one is gone.
Right. Now who do I take care of? How do I start to live versus existing as Yasmina? And baby, this is some interesting shit.
Well, it's a good thing. I'm glad you asked that question, because here we go. Here we go. So, in today's fast-paced world, we often get caught up in our roles as a mother, as a daughter, as a partner, as a professional, as a loctician, as an author, as girl. Just we get into all of whatever you do, Nerd Nation. I guarantee you that you a workaholic. The people that's really going to resonate with what we're talking about, you have thrown yourself so far into everything else that it's hard to get back to you. But do we ever pause and reflect on who we are at our core? Reflecting helps you peel away those layers. When you stop and take the time to reflect, we can acknowledge our strengths, our values, and even our imperfections. Because we just talked about that. It's hard for us to acknowledge that, we ain't perfect and shit. So here's something I want you to remember. Acknowledgement is not about judgment. It's about awareness. You're not reflecting so that you can criticize yourself or so that you can pick yourself apart and, criticize your flaws. You're reflecting so that you can understand and accept yourself. And that's the crucial distinction. Okay. So remember, while we're in acknowledgement stage, we are not judging. We're taking all of the judgment, good and bad. We're taking the good or the bad because we just got to acknowledge the facts of who we are, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. So I want us to take a minute to think about the last time we really reflected on your life, your choices, or your emotions. Did you approach it with curiosity and compassion, or did you find yourself being self-critical? Now, even with me knowing what I know, I can still be very critical of myself. And it doesn't take me as long as it used to. I can snap myself out of it pretty quickly. But initially, I can be very self-critical. All of us, we're our own worst critics. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. We got a practical self-reflection exercise here. Because see, on this here podcast, Nerd Nation, we do the work. Okay. I ain't going to just send you away to do the work. We're going to do the work while we here. Okay. So I want to share a simple but powerful exercise that's going to help you get started with some self-reflection. Now, I want you to find a quiet space. You should already be in one because you should be listening to this podcast show. Okay. I want you to grab your journal, your notebook, your piece of paper, your napkin, your whatever it is that you done got, and your pen. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. Now, we got 5 questions. So here we go. And I want you to write them down. What are 3 things I love about myself? That's question number 1. What are 3 things I love about myself? Question number 2. What are 2 challenges that I've overcome in my life, and how did they shape who I am today? Because see, some is too broad.
Mm-hmm.
Some is too broad. We're going to get specific with ourselves, honey. Okay. So question number 3. What am I most proud of about myself right now? Now, whatever age you are, if you can't give me one thing that you're proud about, you really need to sign up for a program. And I'm going to have them links right down at the bottom for you. Because no matter what age you are, I guarantee you that you've done something that you should be proud of. And if you truly haven't, honey, well, today you can start. Okay. Okay. Number 4. Come on now. Here you go, not liking me, Yaz. Okay. What do I want more of in my life? And what do I want less of? What do I want more of? And what do I want less? Be truthful. Let me tell you something, Nerd Nation. If the answer to that question is I want more dick and less drama, put that down.
Be honest.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's one of mine. It's one of mine. It's one of mine. Woo.
And here go the last question. I'm just saying, be honest, Nerd Nation. We being honest. That's you. You getting to know you. Like if you can't love you if you can't love you for you, how do you expect anybody else to love you for you?
That part.
You gotta love all of it. So if you into some freaky deaky weaky neaky things, honey, that's you. We could start off small, okay? No rush. Here go the last question. How do I speak to myself when I make mistakes? Ooh, that's a good one. How do I speak to myself when I make mistakes? So here's the 5 questions you should have. I'm going to recap them. You should have, what are 3 things I love about myself? You should have, what are 2 challenges I've overcome in my life and how did they shape who I am today? You should have, what am I most proud of about myself right now? What do I want more of in my life? And what do I want less of? And how do I speak to myself when I make mistakes? Now, I want you to write down whatever comes to your mind without judgment. This process is about acknowledging yourself fully and honestly, okay? So don't judge yourself if you want more dick and less drama. Now, if this feels uncomfortable at first, that's okay. Self-reflection can bring up some emotions that we've buried. You just heard one of my best friends tell you twice that she didn't like me for a certain amount of days, okay? She ain't like me. But it's okay. It's all right. I promise you, this work is going to be worth it. Because when you allow yourself to truly see yourself for who you are, beyond the masks, beyond the unrealistic expectations, then you're opening the door to some self-acceptance and ultimately to self-love. So again, you ain't got to like me for this process, but you do got to come out loving yourself. Now, if you ain't gonna like me and need to be worth it, you can't just be not liking me for nothing.
Right.
Okay.
So
you might as well do the work.
Quick little funny story. So I'm in this group on the book. That's what we're gonna call it, the book.
The book.
And it's about women who literally who are now empty nesters and learning to live for themselves. So we all made a pact that, hey, at least once a week we're gonna take ourselves out, whether lunch, walk through the mall, movies, whatever. So my first week in doing so, I'm riding down Watson, which is one of the major roads in Warner Robins where I live. Please tell me why I am sitting in my car having a full-fledged argument with myself because I don't know where I want to eat it. I mean, I'm going off on me because I'm like, you feeding you why you don't know what you want to eat. Like, make you. Like, we passing 37 restaurants. Can you pick one, please? I don't know what I want to eat, though. Girl, you about to be hungry at the house. Like, I'm literally having an argument in my window.
I'm going home. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going home.
Right. Now, I have in my pickup truck, my windows aren't tinted. And I know this lady was looking beside me like, I think she crazy. Because, I mean, I got my fingers, and I'm like, man, make it make sense. Pick one. Like... Yeah, but listen here. I finally just went to the Chinese buffet because I was like, you pissing me off. You pissing me off. We need to eat and you playing. So you don't want to go sit down and order then. So why you just can't say where you want to go?
So Nerd Nation, if you are anything like Yaz, you go to complete fuck off on yourself when you make a mistake. So now we done got through that part of it. So the next thing I want to talk about is celebrating your strengths and your uniqueness. So let me read this right quick. So let's talk about something. I believe we don't talk about this nearly enough. Like I said, celebrating our strengths. Society conditions us to focus on what we lack or where we fall short. But how often do we really stop to celebrate the things that make us amazing? Okay. Now, I want you to ask yourself this. What makes me unique? What is it about you that lights up a room, that makes your friends and your family grateful to have you in their lives? What makes you you? Now, I told you this episode was going to be all about you finding you. Now, one of the most powerful acts of acknowledgement is celebrating the things that you love about yourself. We all have unique strengths, whether it's your compassion, your creativity, your resilience, your sense of humor. You see me and Yaz, honey, we be in stitches all the time, okay? But these are things that make you extraordinary and they deserve to be celebrated. Now, when I think about my own journey and how for years I downplayed a lot of my strengths because I felt like I wasn't good enough. We call it imposter syndrome. We call it imposter syndrome. And a lot of people asked me to kind of tone down. I was always comfortable in the background, so being in the forefront was kind of weird for me. I didn't acknowledge my own abilities to inspire other people. Like, can you imagine it? Like, I didn't think there was anything inspiring about me for a long time. I didn't acknowledge that gift or the way that I could empathize and connect with people on a deep level. But when I started embracing those parts of me, and when I just started celebrating my strengths, my life began to shift and I felt empowered. I was more confident and I'm just really more at peace with who I am now. Bitch, I know a conversation with me will change your life. A conversation, a regular conversation. And I don't say that with no type of arrogance, no type of nothing. That's just a fact. That's the acknowledgement, bitch. That's taking all the emotions away from it because I know what I purposely bring to the fucking table. But there was a time where, oh my God, I would have been embarrassed if anybody had told me, that I think you've given me that compliment a few times. It's been hard for me, to take that. So it was a journey. So what has it been like? So you tell me, I share my story. So what is it like for you? Or do you remember a time where it was hard for you to celebrate your strengths? Like where it was hard for you to figure out the good things about you?
It's still hard to point out the good things about me. I took a picture a couple of days ago. I ain't even gonna try to, this a couple of days ago. And I sent it to somebody we've been friends for 12 years. And I didn't send it for a compliment we always sending weird stuff back and forth. So I just sent the picture. And his response was, "Your smile is contagious." I was like, oh. But I was like, that's interesting. What I can say about going into still again self-discovering Yasmina Sharika is the things about me that I find a problem are things that others find unique and interesting. And when they say it, I'm so dingy. I don't even say thank you. I'm like, oh, I don't think, oh, like, because I really don't be knowing what to say other than oh, and they be like, what is wrong with you? I don't know. Oh, like,
I don't know.
So, I'm learning to. Like, okay, you spoke last episode on your lips. I grew into my nose. I've always felt I had the biggest freaking nose. And now I look exactly like my daddy. I can be his identical twin. So I used to get mad when people would say it, like, oh, you look like your daddy. So I was like, oh, bitch, you calling me handsome. I feel some type of way. Like, I literally would be like, oh, I feel I'm handsome. That's what you're saying? Like, I feel some type of way. But I've learned to take it as you just saying, my dad is a good looking young man, so if my daddy look good, hell, I look good. So thank you. Like what I can fix about me, I'm fixing. What I can't,
right.
I got a big nose. I got man brows. I get them arched twice a year.
Bitch, no, you didn't draw your brows.
I'm learning that.
Okay, so here's what we got. So we got an exercise. So if anybody else out there is like Yaz, who has the issue with accepting compliments like me, so I've got celebrating your strengths exercise. I told you, honey, we do the work over here. So here we go. Here's a quick and powerful exercise that you can do to start celebrating your strengths for those of you who have a problem. So here's the first thing. Go ahead and take out your sheet of paper, and I want you to write down 5 things that you love about yourself. Now, these could be traits, they could be talents, even past achievements, things that have made you proud. They pretty much go back into the questions, that I asked you up top, but this is the exercise. 5 things that you love about, and don't listen here. Don't fucking hold back, okay? This is you. Ain't nobody else gonna see this but you unless you show it to somebody. So this is you, your conversation with you. Don't hold back. Really let yourself acknowledge and celebrate you in this moment. You ain't got to tell nobody, okay? Number 2, after you done wrote those things down, I want you to read them out loud to yourself in front of the mirror, honey. You knew I was gonna put you in front of a mirror. Get in front of that mirror. Now, I know it might feel a little bit awkward at first, but there's something incredibly powerful about hearing your own voice celebrating you. And so this is what it's going to look like. I want you to look, yeah. You need to get in the mirror and need to be like, bitch, look, you are fucking great. You are fucking awesome. I do this with myself. I have these meetings with myself. And if you ain't never did it, I'm telling you right now, part of this exercise is you're going to do it. You're going to read what you write down. I want you, like I said, I want you to be honest with it, about the things that you love about yourself. And then you're going to get in that mirror and you're going to talk to yourself. You're going to affirm yourself and talk about those things. And lastly, so here's the thing. I want you to say it with some confidence and some joy when you celebrate it. I don't want you, well, I kind of love that I'm smart. No, bitch, you are smart, smarter than the average bear, okay? You got something that nobody else got. Your synapses fire off in a way that don't nobody else's fire off. I need you to speak to yourself with some confidence because you deserve to hear. Listen, instead of you sitting around waiting on compliments to come from other people, give them to yourself. And I want you to give them to yourself in the way that you would want somebody else to give it to you. Okay? Compliment yourself like you compliment other people. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to take a moment to thank yourself for your strengths. I want you to place your hand on your heart and say, thank you for being XYZ. I honor and celebrate this part of me. Get that? That's what I want you to say to yourself. After you write down them things you love about yourself. After you go and you talk to yourself in that mirror about it, I want you to thank yourself. I want you to thank yourself for all the wonderful things that you are. Okay. Now, I'm encouraging you to do this every day, but you damn sure better do this once you finish listening to this podcast episode. Okay. As a matter of fact, you could go do it now. You can take us up in there and you can go do it right now. Okay. The more you acknowledge and celebrate your strengths, the more you'll begin to see your own beauty and your own worth. And when you come back here next week, I expect to see comments down here in the comment section about how you felt after you got in that mirror. That's what I'm expecting. See, I'm gonna just tell you what it is that I want from you. I'm done with having people guess about it. I done gave you these exercises to do. I expect you to comment and let me know what the transformation is. We doing the work over here. Every week is going to be something you're going to be able to pick. You can either do all the exercises that we mentioned in the show, or you can just pick and choose the ones that you want to do. But I expect you to at least do one because that's how this works. What you feel about that exercise, Yaz? You going to do it?
See, I actually write stuff on my bathroom mirror with an expo marker. I write them on my mirror, and I recite them every day. Things, affirmations, things I need to hear from myself every day. I spent 43 years of my life hoping for that affirmation from others. Mm-hmm. But when I give it to myself, it's such a whole new level of appreciation for myself, to myself, with myself.
Girl, yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody's gonna love Yasmina Sharika the way I can love Yasmina Sharika. And I spent the majority of my life loving the hell out of other people. Hi, my name is Yasmina, and I love hard. I do. So I can give love hard to everybody except. So now I'm giving it to me just as hard as I freely gave it to others who should not have even got a, hey, how you doing? You know.
Oh, it's a lot of people that shouldn't even got our time, but they done had a whole lot of money, and that's the one thing you can't get back. Which ironically brings us into the last segment that we have of our show: overcoming self-criticism. Because we was sure about to get into it, so let's get into it. Let's get real for a moment. Let's get into it. How many of us are our own worst critic? Raise your hand. If you your own worst critic, honey. Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up if you've ever torn yourself down for making a mistake or for not living up to some impossible standard. Okay, we all here in attendance. Here we go. So that's called self-criticism. And that is something that so many of us struggle with, and it can be incredibly damaging. We often speak to ourselves in ways that we would never speak to other people. We magnify our own flaws, we obsess over our mistakes, and we hold ourselves to these ridiculously high standards. But here's the truth about that shit. Self-criticism is unproductive, and it's not helping you become a better person. In fact,
it's damaging.
It's doing the opposite. It's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you stuck. Now, acknowledgement, as we have talked about earlier, is not about judgment. It's about seeing yourself clearly and without the criticisms. Now, when we let go of the need to constantly criticize ourselves, you'll create a space for self-compassion and self-growth, and you'll also create a safe space for yourself to be able to make a mistake, okay? So, but that's easier said than done. Yes, I know you got a story about self-criticism.
So let's talk about it.
So, okay. $1,000,000.
We just had the conversation about how people are like, oh, you like your dad. So I'm like, oh, bitch, you calling me handsome, but I digress. Okay, growing up, I've always had hirsutism. Okay, it wasn't as bad.
What now? Say it again.
Hirsutism.
Okay.
Excessive hair growth.
Oh, we're going to have to put a vocabulary. That's going to be a vocabulary word. Okay.
Yes, I have excessive hair growth, especially on my face. And like, if I let it grow, baby, I digress.
Not you out here being part of beer gang.
Yes. But it was, and it still is. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it like that. Shit don't bother me. It bothers me.
Okay.
But I kind of joke with it now because I'm like, they say them ladies who got the facial hair got some good. I digress. But that's how I,
because I got a whisker or two. Don't mess with me. But look, don't mess with me because I got a whisker or two.
and that's kind of been how I've kept myself positive about it. Now, imagine I'm in the South. I'm born and raised in South Georgia. I currently live in Middle Georgia. I digress. It's still Georgia. I get self-conscious when it comes to dating. Cause I ain't finna snatch no hair off my face. I snatch it off my cookies. I ain't snatching it off my face.
You snatch it off your cookies?
Bust this thing open to get a wax so goddamn quick. Wham!
Oh my God. Oh, the whole thing. Oh my God.
The whole story about shaving, so I won't dare put a razor down there again because I thought somebody gave me an STD and I was gonna go to jail. With that being said, I start getting waxes. The first wax, I thought I died and they pulled my cookie lips off. But now it's not as bad. It's great now. I love it. But I ain't know. Well, I ain't know. Ooh, they be snatching my eyebrows and they go to twitching for weeks. No, ma'am. I ain't there with the beard yet. So I shave every other day.
Okay.
But when I date, that's something that plays in my, because I don't wear makeup. I don't know how to wear makeup. I don't know how.
I don't know how to wear makeup.
I don't know how to wear makeup. And I'm not finna pay nobody no $35, $75, $45 just to put makeup on my face for me to go bowling. Or for me to go sit in a restaurant that's dim, lit.
The lights is dim and all of that stuff.
So
okay.
I learned to position myself when conversing with people. I'll constantly put my hands over my face.
It's not you trying to catch the.
So yeah, that part. Like I do that a lot because there's the spots. There are spots there.
We need for Nerd Nation to tell us what little things they do to try to hide they little.
Girl, you take them pictures and you arch that head up like this so you can't see. You know how to take them pictures. That way, see, I take pictures. I used to have a double chin. It's a chin and a quarter now because I done lost 50-something pounds. So I could take a face-on picture and it ain't showing my little wobble down there. But I also like to arch it and then sometimes I like to wear them low-hanging shirts. I like my chickle bitties. So I get a cleavage shirt so it shows some cleavages. And then I take the picture like that. And it's just, girl, don't get me started. But yeah, my that is stuff that right there. That is something I've accepted over the years.
Okay.
I've realized that a lot of women on my dad's side actually have it and they function just fine. Clearly, they never stop show.
And ain't nobody never kicked me up out the bed because I got a couple of chin hairs. So let's talk about it, Nerd Nation. So how do we begin to let go of self-criticism? So here's a few strategies that I found incredibly helpful, and you tell me what you think about them. Yeah, so it's 4 of them here. So number 1, catch yourself in the act. Start by paying attention to the way that you speak to yourself. Whenever you catch yourself being self-critical, just pause and acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I see that I'm being hard on myself right now. And then I want you to challenge that criticism. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or would I say this to a friend in the same situation? How would I speak to a friend in this situation? Okay. Now, if you like me, it depends on which personality a person gets on how I'm going to speak to them. But I do, generally speaking, try to speak with compassion to people. So this is where you get to give yourself a little bit of compassion. Catch yourself in the act. Hey, I'm being real hard on myself right now. Let me pull back a little bit. Number 2, you're going to reframe your inner dialogue. Instead of focusing on what went wrong or what you didn't do perfectly, I want you to reframe the situation. Shift your focus to what you learned from the experience or how you can approach it differently next time if it comes up again. This not only will help you grow, but it also shifts the narrative from self-criticism to self-compassion. So instead of going, what I did wrong, everything I did wrong, what did I learn? How can I move differently the next time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Number 3, we're going to practice some self-compassion and incorporate number 1 and number 2 is how you're going to do that. When you catch yourself being self-critical, imagine how you would comfort, like I said, a friend going through the same thing. What would you say to them? And now I want you to say those words to yourself. See, when your friends come to you with things, you don't start off with, Okay, stupid bitch, why you doing that? You smarter than that. You need to think about. You don't come off at your friends generally like that the first time. You try to be a little compassionate. I see the look on your face, Heifer. Generally speaking, when we speak,
Okay, so listen, and you're right. I typically don't.
not initially. You may get to that point, but initially, you try to be like, okay, sweetie,
I'm gonna be gentle.
It's all right. It's okay.
Gentle.
And it's for me, it's that third time a charm for me. If you come back to me after that third time, I done told you, okay, baby girl, everything gonna be okay. Let's, I try to kumbaya you first. Okay, I try to kumbaya you first. Now, if you just come with your negative, nasty ass stuff and you keep on attacking me, oh no, okay, now it's gonna be like, well, you just a little bit too smart to be doing the dumb shit you're doing. So my Aquarian comes out.
So, okay, now I met a group of women in 2016 because my son played football. I didn't know them, so I guess I operated in I dare say, I really just want friends mode. So I conversed in ways and I responded in ways that were nice, that were kind, that were whatever. Well, let's fast forward to like 3 years ago. They make my ass itch. Like they literally do. And they all said the same thing, talking about, we don't know what happened, but you are mean as crap now. No, I'm not. I just talked to you because when I talked to you nice, you didn't get it.
You didn't hear me.
You wasn't catching it.
You didn't hear me. They don't hear you. Nerd Nation, have you been there? You trying to be nice to somebody and you done said it 80, 50, 11,000 ways nicely. But somehow it ain't until you go the fuck off that they all of a sudden now they get no. So that leads us to number 4. Go ahead and forgive yourself, honey. If you done had to go off on somebody, just forgive yourself. But if we talk about self-criticism, it says self-criticism often comes from holding on to mistakes or failures. But remember, making mistakes is part of being human. It's okay to mess up. When you forgive yourself for being imperfect, you open the door for healing and growth. And here go the thing. When you can forgive yourself quickly, it becomes easier to forgive other people. It's real easy for me to forgive other people. I ain't gonna never forget the shit that you do to me. Oh, but sweetie, it's so easy for me to forgive you because I know that forgiveness is about letting go of the BS. So I got to, at this point, I got to forgive you because I got to get you up out of you can't live up in my head for rent free.
Cannot.
You really can't. I'm charging everything gets a charge over this way, honey. You can't live up in my head rent free no more. I'm past that point.
Right. It's something my grandma used to tell me. She say, I believe you forgive people not for them, but for you.
Yes.
She says, but I'll forgive a person 1,000,001 times, but I'd be damned if I forgive you 1,000,001 times for the same thing.
You're not gonna get close enough to me to do the same thing. After I don't forget you,
I'm not gonna keep forgiving you for the same thing
because I don't forget, and that's where it is. Some people believe that if I forgive you, I gotta deal with you. I don't never have to deal with you again. I don't never have to deal with you again. Forgiveness is about letting go of the pain. So when it comes to forgiving yourself, I want you, all that criticism and all that stuff that you're doing to yourself, all that nasty talk that you forgive yourself for that. Okay. So we coming up on the wrap up on episode 2, girls. So let's talk about it. As we wrap up this episode, I want you to remember this. Acknowledgement is about seeing yourself clearly with no judgment, your strengths, your uniqueness, and even your flaws with no judgment. It's about embracing the totality of who you are and celebrating the beautiful, complex human being that you've become. You ain't got to be perfect to be worthy of love and acceptance. And that's really the whole point of our podcast. We said it in episode 1. Now, if your drawers is stinking, we want you to love your stinking drawers. We just, we don't want you to stay stinking, but we want you to know that you're worthy of love and acceptance.
I'd rather you free ball them lips than wear them stinking drawers.
You enough exactly as you are, and acknowledgement is the first step towards embracing your truth. So before we close up, I'm going to leave you with one more actionable exercise that you can practice throughout the week. Okay. So in addition to what we already did, it's just 2 things. So each morning, and this is a personal challenge for you, and I'll put it down in the comment section too. So each morning, I want you to spend 5 minutes in front of the mirror. Now, this could be when you're brushing your teeth. You're supposed to be in the mirror anyway. Okay, don't play with me. So you're supposed to be brushing your teeth. So as you look at yourself, I want you to repeat the following affirmations. I see you. I acknowledge your strengths. I embrace your imperfections. I want you to repeat those 3 things to yourself in the mirror. I want you to let those words sink in, and I want you to speak them with love and attention. I see you. I acknowledge your strengths, and I embrace your imperfections. And then at the end of each day, I want you to write down 1 thing that you acknowledged about yourself that day. It could be a strength. It could be a challenge that you overcame, or even an area where you showed yourself some grace. But remember, in the morning, I want you spending 5 minutes with yourself in the morning, saying, I see you. I acknowledge your strengths. I embrace your imperfections. And at the end of the day, I want you to acknowledge something that you did that day. Okay? This practice of acknowledgement is going to help you build a deeper connection with yourself. And you're going to be able to cultivate a better sense of self-love and acceptance. Okay? So before we wrap up and I give my closing remarks, Yaz, you got anything you want to add before we get out of here? It's end of episode 2.
I'm going to say, acknowledging doesn't mean being stuck. It does not mean being stuck just because you're acknowledging whatever it is you're acknowledging. It can be the stepping stone. It can be the ladder that was dropped down for you to climb up out of that hole. Embrace the acknowledgement of yourself. And take that leap of faith of, let's get to know me. Let's get to know me, not them, me. Because them, me, and me is 2 different me's.
So just be the me that I'm a be.
Point blank.
When I me, myself, and I by myself.
That part. That part. And if you have a little conversation / argument with yourself every now and then, just don't be so hard on yourself. Just, hey, check this out, chick. I know we acknowledge this stuff, and I know what we're going through. We got to get it together. Okay?
Listen, Nerd Nation, if you cussing yourself out, I want you to put it in the comment section. I just want you to put, or either, hey, you can make a video and link it. But look here. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of acknowledgement today. I hope you found some value in this conversation with me and Yaz, and you feel inspired to start embracing your true self, flaws and all. Now, in episode 3, our next episode, we diving into forgiveness, honey. That's the 2nd pillar in the after effect. And we're going to explore how to forgive yourself for past mistakes and let go of the weight that you've been carrying. And trust me, you don't want to miss it, honey. Forgiveness, self-forgiveness is one of the hard ones. So we really going to tackle it. If you enjoyed today's episode, though, I want you to subscribe it. I want you to rate it. I want you to review the After Effect podcast show. And I want you to go ahead and hit that like button, honey, and share it. If you know somebody who could benefit from the message, share it with them. Okay? We all up in this together. So until next time, darling, acknowledge who you are and celebrate the journey.